Priscilla Almquist-Olson. I welcome Grange members and the audience at home to hear a wonderful program tonight. We are honored and privileged to have Diane Tremblay, who is the founder and co-leader of the Neighbor Brigade, and her sidekick and co-leader, Nancy Andre. These are two women who are very ambitious, energetic, and dedicated and devoted and very compassionate. And we're going to learn a little bit about the Neighbor Brigade tonight, a wonderful organization that exists here in Easton, and we'll learn a little bit about how it operates. So welcome, Diane and Nancy.
Thank you so much, Priscilla. Thank you for having us this evening. We're really honored to be able to speak to the group and to share a message of helping our neighbors in need. And so just by way of background, my dear friend, Pam Manikis-Washek, started the Neighbor Brigade, back in 2002. She had been diagnosed with cancer, and along with her friend, Jean Seiden, who had also gone through breast cancer. And they were so blown away by the outpouring of assistance that they had. They were both young mothers with young children at home. And the community of Wayland, where we grew up, just rallied around them, brought them meals, did their dog walking and whatever errands they needed. And they both just were so blown away that they formed this group called the Wayland Angels. And it spread to Sudbury, it spread to Acton, it spread to Concord. And then Pam realized that she was onto something here. And just as she was about to form the 501c3 of Neighbor Brigade, she was re-diagnosed with cancer. She had already lost her friend, Jean Seiden. She lost her battle with breast cancer. And I had sat with Pam during her first round of treatments, and I called her up immediately. I'm also best friends with her twin sister, Mary. And I said, Pam, what can I do for you? And I said, do you need me to come with you on treatments, et cetera? She said, no. She said, you need to go start your own Neighbor Brigade chapter. And I was like, duh. So it was kind of a no-brainer. So that was in 2010. 2010. So it's been 10 years. And I didn't give it a second thought as to who I wanted to do this with me. And that was Nancy, of course. So we are now in over 30 communities within Massachusetts, in addition to other states. I believe we're in New Jersey, Washington, and a whole bunch of states. You can visit our website at www.neighborbrigade.org to look at where we have active chapters. So Nancy and I have been doing this together for about 10 years now, and Nancy's going to get into a little bit more about what it is, how we do it, and where. But basically, we have 191 volunteers currently, and we help families that are in times of temporary crisis. And so we have 191 volunteers at the ready. If we learn of or and send an email out, and it's done. People are signing up to help out. And that's the beauty of it, is it takes the onus off of the family members that are helping people that need them, to support them, whether it's emotionally or in other ways. But I remember when Pam passed, I didn't even want to cook a meal. And so we help families in times of grief, whether they've got cancer, if there's been a family house fire. There's been a lot of different ways that we've helped families. So I'll turn it over to Nancy now, and she'll tell you a little bit more about how it works.
Thank you. So basically, and Diane just brushed on this a little bit, but what we do for the most part is provide meals. We provide meals for families that are in a temporary period of crisis. 10 years ago, that was a little bit more challenging to define as far as what is a temporary period of crisis. And now 10 years later, I think Diane and myself have a pretty good idea as far as we are. I like to say we're almost respite angels that come in, and we don't come in. We do all of this pretty much anonymously. So we find out about a family, and a family can be one person. I'm just using the broader term. We see if they're, whether it's somebody Diane or myself knows, or if we have a contact, whoever they're really comfortable with, and they'll go through with the potential person that we're going to help, and just go through a list of what they like, what they don't like, allergies, which is incredibly important. So it's just a bunch of questions. How many kids? Are there caretakers that are living with you? Just so that we have, which, we have been so fortunate. Our volunteers, if it's making a meal for 4, it's really a meal for 8. So, and what we do is once we get all of that set up, and this can happen, it can happen so quickly. It can happen within an hour. I mean, Diane could get a call, and that's usually how it would happen, between 11 and 12. And if they wanted to start meals later that day, we're able to do it. I mean, Diane and myself also volunteer and make meals, or Diane makes delicious meals. Nancy buys delicious meals. So I'm learning to cook again. But anyways, and then what's really, really, really nice, I love this part, because we go and deliver a cooler. And now with COVID, obviously, we have tons of different things that we need to do. We need to be making sure that we're practicing COVID protocol, and we are. So every one of our volunteers has to go through. It's just a very brief training, but regardless, they have to go through it. We need to have the gloves, we need to have the mask, et cetera, et cetera. Most of the time, the meals are just left in the cooler. We don't want to bother the family. That can be stressful for them. Sometimes it can be embarrassing depending upon the situation. And then again, there are some people that are just, you're putting it down, and then you hear somebody open the door and you're like, oh my gosh. And they are just so excited just to see your face. And they can't believe what you've done, which is like, it's a meal. We're just trying to provide some sense of normalcy during that dinner hour, so that the family can sit down and, they don't have to worry about the whole prep and cooking and all that other stuff. With that being said, we can do lots of other things, but I would say generally speaking, we do meals, but we can do, assist with dog walking, assist with errands. I mean, I don't really think Diane has, or myself really ever said, nope, we can't do it. As long as it's reasonable, which, what's reasonable, especially when somebody's very, very, very ill. So we usually
Right.
make it happen.
We've
Whatever we
also
need to do,
actually
we make it
assisted
happen.
with rides
Yeah.
to medical appointments.
Yeah.
I think
Huge.
that, if the Council on the Aging in Easton wasn't able to help, then we would step in. And I think that we've only done that once or twice, Nancy, right?
Yep. But
it's
a
not the
big
most
help.
requested need, but we do mainly meals, as Nancy
Yeah.
said.
But what's nice too is that, and this is why we're really so honored and that you all invited us to basically just give a presentation during your meeting, because there's so many things we could be doing. There's so, whether it's even just companionship for an hour or two, just where it's free. It's not, and people need it depending upon, now I'm talking a different person. Maybe I'm talking a senior citizen that is going through cancer treatments, has no family here. It's heartbreaking. So we want to be able to do whatever we need to do within reason to make this, the best chapter of Neighbor Brigade possible. So,
Right.
but yeah, everything else, like I said, we get a time that's convenient. I know sometimes people say, oh, I can participate, but I have to drop it off before noon. And then we'll just make it work, drop it off to us, and we'll drop it off to the to the person that we're helping. So as far as the areas, we are basically here for Easton residents. This is why we do this. Now, we have definitely helped a couple of people that are just really right over the line in Brockton, right over the line in Stoughton. Both of those people that we have helped have actually turned into and started chapters. So they're now chapter leaders, which is pretty awesome, like really, really exciting. So just a way, as far as everybody wants to know, how can I give back? How you can give back is, especially if you're in a different town, start a chapter, spread the word, motivate, get a couple other volunteers to, there's a lot of people. Easton's a really big town.
Mm.
Okay. There's a lot of people that need to be helped, but it also becomes a very humbling time too, for families, and they're just not, it's out of their comfort zone. So
Right.
we want to hear about those people. We want to help them. We have the people, we have everything. We're just ready to rock and roll, but we need to know who they are. So,
Nancy,
yeah.
Diane, how do you get the word out that you're available? Because I think I really didn't know about you until last year, and you've been around for a long time. So we hope that this presentation tonight will reach the wider community in Easton. What I was impressed with was the fact that you actually have an interview with the people who are in need, so that you don't give them what they might not want or what they might not need. I know when I was brought up and taught that when somebody dies, you bring food and knock on the door. And unfortunately, sometimes there's too much food and it goes to waste. So I was impressed with the fact that you find out, when those meals are necessary, how many people you're going to serve, whether there are errands to go to the pharmacy or go to the doctor's office, or whatever their particular needs are. Do an inventory, in a sense, for each of these people. So I thought that is so impressive. They get what they need, they get what they want.
Yeah,
And
well, we put a
I'm
lot
sure
of
that-
thought into how this should roll out, and it's to just make it a more efficient means and take the onus off of whomever is going through the crisis at hand. And you bring up a really good point, Priscilla, about not knowing about Neighbor Brigade. And that's something I think that's frustrated Nancy and I, because we have been around for 10 years and we have done a lot of outreach in the community. And since we started, both of us are now working full time. And it's not that it takes a lot of time to volunteer or do what we do, but it does take connections, and it does take a good couple of hours a week to be able to network. I feel like we'll speak to this. I guess I'll speak to it now. We are interested in bringing on another co-leader, someone who can, who loves to get out there and is social and is well connected in the community, who can help to spread the word about Neighbor Brigade.
Exactly.
Nancy and I have the tactical and the other logistics down. But, I work a 40-hour plus a week job, and it's just really difficult for us to go back out. We want someone who's proficient with social media. We didn't have all those tools when we first started. They were very limited back then.
We almost need to, excuse me, Diane, for a second, but somebody that, a good investigator, they heard that there may have been, somebody might be not doing well, might be going through or having major surgery, and their husband travels all the time. So she gives that lead to Diane and myself, but we would really need her or him to follow through with that, and to really not to push them, but to get them comfortable with the idea of this is why we're here. So
right.
we
So
want to
if
help.
anybody's interested in looking into joining us, for outreach, primarily, we'd love to hear from them, and we'll provide our contact information at the end. I don't want to get too in the weeds with what would be needed. But we do feel like we live in a town with 26,000 plus people, and we only have 191 volunteers. So we would love to see that change. When you become a volunteer, what does that mean? It means what you want it to mean. You can volunteer whenever you want. If you don't have the time, then you don't. We do ask people if you could just volunteer once a year. If we had every volunteer just one time a year, we would never have to have a plan B. We would never have to, jump in and deliver a meal when we don't have someone scheduled. We wouldn't have to call and plead with Mario's to deliver a meal and get gift cards from local restaurants to fill that void. So, it is a commitment. If you want to be a volunteer, don't just say you are, be one.
Yeah, exactly.
May I just jump right in here? I had some ideas. For example, we have the town crier, and I'm sure you've received that on your online.
We've been in it many times.
Okay, and then also the Council on Aging has a newsletter, and if you had a consistent column every month, something very short, 2 paragraphs, just to let people know that you're around and some of the happy stories that you can relate.
It's actually a very good idea.
Well, the COA is aware of us, and actually they've reached out on occasion to inquire if there's opportunity for us to help. Some of the cases that are brought to us don't always fit with our model and what we do. We really, it is a temporary kind of nature of the response that we can provide, because we're not equipped to help with a chronically ill situation. But
and we also think it's really important for that person to get back to, the activities of daily living, cooking, throwing your laundry in. That's part of healing, and that whole part.
Sure. As you said earlier, you provide a temporary service.
Yes, exactly.
It's temporary. It's to help them get back on their feet and so forth.
Exactly.
Now, have you, I would think that the police department and the fire department, all the EMTs, they would be perfect people to for you to talk to, and so that they could call you, because they see those cases in need.
It's a little bit tricky because they're not always able to provide names of families with us. They would have to get permission from the family. We've also been, unfortunately, literally banged our head up against the wall with respect to getting into the Easton school system, believe it or not, where I've had 2 children and one is still a senior, and Nancy had a daughter go through, and we've met with the principals, we've met with the superintendent, and they're not open to sharing our information with, and this is where the meat of, I think, where we should be is the school nurses.
The PTA,
it's been frustrating, needless to say. We've talked to churches. We've been in the Enterprise. We've been in the Easton Journal. We have literally done it all. And I feel like Nancy and I've talked recently, this is why we're looking for someone that we can bring on to kind of go with the social media aspect and to find other ways to kind of help us to integrate with the community. We'd love to, we partner with the Easton Food Pantry. We send messages out on behalf of Ken to let people know what their needs are. We're partnering with you now. We're actually going to be meeting with the Easton Women of Today during their monthly meeting and spreading the word about who we are and what we do, because we know that a lot of families in Easton could use our services. A lot of times it's mostly by word of mouth. And it's not for everybody. Sometimes, I've had good friends, who have had tragedy in their own homes, and their kids were too picky, and they didn't want strange people making meals for them. So it's not for everybody.
Right.
And, you have to be open to it. I had another good friend who had pancreatic cancer, and her husband fought me and another friend of ours tooth and nail. No way, I don't want it. I can do it myself. And I finally put my foot down, because he's a good friend, and he finally agreed. And once he did, he realized just how incredible of a time saver it was, so he could focus on caring for his wife and his son, who was watching his mother die. And he still to this day says, that was the most amazing thing anybody's ever done for my family. And I said, well, I didn't do it. This is your community. These are the people in your community who love to do it. And they don't want a pat on the back. They just do it because it's out of the goodness of their heart.
And that's another thing that's also part of the healing process, to know, geez, I don't even know these people, and they're bringing me over meals, and kind of just, it gets you to think into, yes, while this is a terrible, terrible thing we're going through, there is some good that's coming into it and out of it. So, and I think that's, very important.
Yeah. Did you, Penny, would you like for me to share a couple of stories about some families that we helped?
Sure, that would be great. One comment I would make though before you start. I know that when I lived in the Hudson Valley in New York, the school system there would regularly send home announcements and all kinds of organizations that wanted to spread the word about what they do and all. And every child in the whole school system got a piece of paper and took it home, and their parents were given the information. So I would think this would be quite an important thing to do at least once a year in the Easton school system.
You and me both.
I think that would be fantastic. Absolutely.
How many times have we met with people, Nancy? We met with Superintendent, who was the one that was here before Lisha?
Great guy. I forgot his name, but it's.
Well, now we have a female.
Lisha Cabral. We've met with her. I can't tell you how many different ways we've tried to approach this, and
but this is why too. Maybe just bringing somebody else in and some fresh ideas, and because we want this to work, we want this to be. It's an amazing thing that Easton has, and it's utilizing it to its fullest.
So we're trying.
That's great. And I would think that you would involve the churches, synagogues, and so forth, because I know my church, Holy Trinity Lutheran, has outreach programs.
I belong to Holy Cross Church in Easton, as actually Nancy just recently joined as well, and they have us on the ads on the back page.
Which is great.
And
great.
My in-laws were a big part of the Immaculate Conception Church in Easton, and I should probably reach out to somebody there to see if they would be willing to share our services as well. My mother-in-law recently passed in November, but she was a member of the Queesic community. And I know that a lot of those women over there know who I am and have reached out to me. We've been able to help them as well. Initially too, when COVID first struck and we really started to go into lockdown, we initiated a pharmacy delivery program, or whether it was, do you need groceries? And we did get a couple of calls from the residents at Queesic, which was nice.
Wonderful. Terrific.
Well, I have a question.
You had some closing comments, Diane?
Yeah, I think I just heard someone said they had a question.
Yeah, Diane, have you worked with Brothers Keeper at all?
We have not. Nan, I know you've worked there as a volunteer. Have you ever reached out to them?
Strangely enough, no. And I don't know the answer, so I'm going to put it on my notes. Yeah.
Thank you for the suggestion. That's a great idea.
Absolutely.
Seems like the mission would be the same.
Yeah, exactly. And I love Brothers Keeper.
Yep. Priscilla, are we at a point where we need to close? Because I just wanted to mention, we have a big fundraiser that we do every year, and I wanted to kind of just speak to that.
Please do.
Okay, I'm just going to share my screen for a moment here. So Pam's Run, hold on, is a Pam's Run is our largest fundraiser that we do. And we just had our 8th annual Pam's Run. It was virtual, and we were still incredibly successful. We had 452 runners and walkers, 27 teams in 35 states across the United States, and we raised over $60,000. This is a really neat fundraiser because this was just an idea that Pam had. It was in her chicken scratch notes in a journal. And after she passed, her sister Joanna found those notes and made this come to fruition. And it has just been something that anybody can get on board with. If you walk or you want to just volunteer at the events, they're just so much fun. And I just wanted to speak to this because it's been such a great thing for us to have and to help us raise money to keep the program going. And then lastly, sure.
I was going to say, I think everybody here knows, has contacts in the community and can speak to those people, whether it's people on our select board or in the health department, at the fire station, police station, in the schools, in the churches, in the synagogues. I mean, I know that, for example, the Lions Club, we have people here who, Patty Summers and Harry Summers, and
they're great. The Lions Club has worked with us in the past, and they've done a lot to kind of help to recognize us. They gave us the what did they give us, Nan? Honorable Humanitarian Award in 2014.
Yeah, they've been fantastic. I was a member of the Easton Lions up until recently now. But
my point is that most of our members are very community oriented, civic minded, people who want to serve, want to help. And so I think you've got a good group here. And all the people who are listening at home, please go online to Neighbor Brigade.
Let me share. Yeah, let me share the. I'm going to share the contact information slide right now. Hold on one second. Yeah, it's very simple to become a volunteer. And as I mentioned, you do not need to volunteer that frequently. If you don't have the time, you just don't do it. I don't know what I did with this. Here it is. Sorry about that.
I think your address is neighborbrigade.org, right?
Here's the information. So basically it's www.neighborbrigade.org for general information. I don't know what happened. Sorry. And you can find any information there. There's a main contact, and then I don't know why this keeps ending. Sorry, I'll just stop sharing at this point. Well, I took my hand off the mouse and everything. But www.neighborbrigade.org is basically all you need to find Nancy and I. And also, I just want to give a quick shout out also to one of our sponsors. We want to thank our community angel sponsor, Southeastern Motor Sales. Please consider our supporters when you're looking for a new car, because their support helps to keep our chapter running.
They've been incredible.
We
financially exactly.
Even though it's just the two of us, it costs money to keep our chapters running, and that's why we have these fundraising efforts. It's about $5,000 a year to keep each chapter running. And they were kind enough to become our community angel sponsor and donated $1,000.
Can you tell us again the name of the business?
Yes, it's Southeastern Motor Sales right on 138.
Okay. Thank you. Are there any other questions from our group? Yeah, okay, hearing none, I want to thank you both again. You have the most wonderful mission. You have accomplished so much in 10 years, and the next 10 years will even be better, I'm sure. And now that you've reached out to the wider community and to the Grange members, I'm sure that all of us will spread the word of kindness and compassion that you represent. So thank you, Nancy. Thank you, Diane.
Thank you,
Thank
Priscilla, and
you.
thank you, Bill. We really appreciate you allowing us to share this mission and hope that you will pass the word around. Thank you so much.
Great,
welcome.
thank you.
Have a great night.
Thank you so much.
Thank you for a great presentation. It was very interesting, no question about it.
You're welcome.
We'll try to help, see if we can help you in some way.
Awesome. We'd love it.
Anything you can do, just mentioning it once is a help.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We can make
So
that
we'll
happen.
leave you to the rest of your meeting. We hope you all have a
Thank
great
you
evening.
so much. Lovely meeting
Thank
you
you.
all.
I'll
Take
get
care.
you-
You as
I'll
well.
get
Thank you.
Bye.
the-